Imagine a castle built with the most formidable stone, standing tall against the harshest of winters. The walls are impossibly thick, the gates are locked from the inside, and a deep, uncrossable moat surrounds it. From the outside, it is a masterpiece of defense, impenetrable, safe. But if you were to walk the halls inside this fortress, you wouldn't find a king or a queen reigning in triumph. You would find a prisoner. This is the architecture of a heart that has decided it can no longer afford to trust. We live in a world that constantly tells us to open up, to let people in, to be vulnerable. Society romanticizes the blind leap of faith. But for you, the idea of a blind leap doesn't sound romantic. It sounds like a death sentence. To the outside world, you might appear strong, self-sufficient, fiercely independent. You are the one who handles things, the one who doesn't need anyone's help, the one who always has a backup plan for the backup plan. People admire your independence. They don't see the exhaustion behind it. They don't realize that your hyper-independence is not a personality trait. It is a scar. You didn't wake up one morning and simply decide to close the door on humanity. Trust is our default setting as human beings. A child reaches out for a hand, assuming someone will be there to catch them. If you no longer reach out, it is because at some fundamental point in your story, reaching out resulted in a fall. It is because the hands that were supposed to catch you either pulled away or, worse, pushed you down. Let's talk about that exhaustion, the quiet, bone-deep weariness of being the only person you can rely on. When you cannot trust, your brain is forced into a state of perpetual hypervigilance. You are constantly scanning the horizon for the hidden motive, the lie wrapped in a compliment, the inevitable disappointment. If someone does something kind for you, the alarm bells ring. What do they want? When will they use this against me? It's a tragic irony. The very gestures of love and connection that are meant to soothe the nervous system are the exact triggers that send yours into overdrive. Psychology often points to the dramatic, earth-shattering betrayals when discussing trust issues, infidelity, abandonment, deceit. And yes, if you have survived those, your fortress makes perfect sense. But often, the death of trust is much quieter. It is what we might call emotional erosion. Think of a single drop of water hitting a stone. One drop does nothing, but a steady, relentless drip over years will carve a hole straight through solid rock. This erosion happens in the mundane moments of childhood and early relationships. It is the caregiver who promised they would attend your school play and never showed up. It is the secret you shared with a friend, only to hear it whispered in the hallways the next day. It is the emotional volatility of a parent, where they were warm and loving one evening and cold and distant the next morning, leaving you walking on eggshells, desperately trying to decode the climate of your own home. When the people who are meant to be your anchors act like the unpredictable sea, you learn very quickly to build your own boat and sail alone. You learned that attachment is dangerous. In psychology, we look at how inconsistent environments create an avoidant or disorganized attachment style. But let's strip away the clinical terms. What it really means is that you learned love and pain are the exact same thing. You learned that to let someone in is to hand them a map of your vulnerabilities and simply hope they don't use it to destroy you. And for someone who has already been destroyed before, hope is a luxury you feel you can no longer afford. There is a profound grief in this, a specific type of ambiguous loss. You aren't just grieving the people who betrayed you, you're grieving the comfort of safety itself. You mourn the version of yourself that could fall backward and believe someone would catch you. You watch others seamlessly form bonds, rely on their partners, lean on their friends, and a quiet, hollow ache sits in your chest. You want that. Deep down, beneath the heavy armor, the human need for connection is still beating, still alive. You are starving for the very thing you are terrified to consume. Because of this, relationships become a game of chess. You are always 3 moves ahead, anticipating the betrayal before it happens, so it won't hurt as much when it finally does. You test people. Subconsciously, you might push them away, become cold, or create conflicts waiting for them to leave. Because if you orchestrate their departure, if you expect it, you control it. It's a twisted form of self-preservation. I will reject you before you reject me. I will abandon you before you abandon me. And the tragedy is, when they do leave, often exhausted by the walls they couldn't climb, your brain whispers, "See, I was right. People always leave." But it wasn't a prophecy. It was a self-fulfilling mechanism born out of profound terror. This is the paradox of the invisible wall. You built it to keep the pain out, but walls do not filter. They don't just keep out the lies, the deceit, and the heartbreak. They keep out the joy, the spontaneity, the warmth, and the deep, soulful intimacy that makes life worth living. You have successfully protected yourself from being hurt by others, but you have inadvertently sentenced yourself to the quiet agony of profound loneliness. Consider the concept of the empty well. If you are repeatedly drawing water from a well that you believe will eventually run dry, you will ration your emotional investments. You give only fractions of yourself. You keep a secret reserve, a part of your soul that no one gets to see, just in case everything falls apart. You tell yourself this makes you smart, pragmatic, but living with one foot out the door means you never truly arrive anywhere. You are a ghost haunting your own relationships, present in body but entirely inaccessible in spirit. What the world misunderstands about people who don't trust is that they are not inherently cold. They are not heartless. In fact, they are often the most deeply sensitive people of all. It is exactly because they feel so deeply, because betrayal cuts them so profoundly to the core, that they must protect their heart with such ferocity. A person who doesn't care doesn't need armor. Armor is only worn by those who know exactly how fragile the flesh beneath it truly is. But as the years pass, the armor grows heavy. The vigilance takes its toll. The sheer cognitive load of analyzing every text message, every tone of voice, every fleeting facial expression for signs of impending betrayal, it burns you out. You start to realize that survival is not the same as living. Let's pause and look closer at that ghost you're protecting yourself from. Often society tells us to just let it go, to forgive and forget, or to give people the benefit of the doubt. This toxic positivity surrounding trust completely invalidates your lived experience. It demands that you ignore the very real, very sharp lessons the world has taught you. When you are told to just trust, it feels like being asked to walk into a burning building because someone promises the fire won't burn you this time. The psychological mechanism at play here is essentially your brain's negativity bias amplified to a traumatic degree. The human brain is evolutionarily wired to remember pain more vividly than pleasure. It's how our ancestors survived. If you touch a hot stove once, your brain permanently maps that danger. Now, apply this to human connection. If your first experiences of love, vulnerability, or reliance resulted in emotional burns, your brain has categorized intimacy in the exact same file as hot stove. Your knack of trust is not a flaw in your character. It is a brilliantly executed function of your brain's defense system. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is keeping you alive. But we must acknowledge the difference between physical danger and emotional danger. A hot stove will always burn you. Human beings, however, are infinitely complex, capable of both immense cruelty and astonishing grace. By treating all human connection as a guaranteed threat, you are flattening the entire spectrum of human experience into a single, terrifying shade of gray. This flattening effect extends even to how you view yourself. When you cannot trust others, a sinister shift happens internally. You slowly stop trusting yourself. You begin to doubt your own judgment. After all, if you trusted someone in the past and they betrayed you, the internal monologue whispers, "How could I have been so blind? I should have seen the signs. I can't trust my own radar." So you overcompensate. You become a detective of human flaws. You analyze every interaction under a microscope, looking for the tiny fractures, the subtle inconsistencies. You find them, of course, because humans are inherently flawed and inconsistent. And when you find them, you use them as evidence to justify locking the gate even tighter. It's an endless, exhausting loop of self-validation through isolation.
You might even find yourself drawn to situations or people that you know are untrustworthy. It sounds entirely counterintuitive, but psychologically, there is a strange comfort in the familiar. If you subconsciously believe that all people will eventually betray you, getting involved with someone who is blatantly unreliable feels safe in its predictability. It confirms your worldview. It hurts, yes, but it is a hurt you know how to navigate. What is truly terrifying to the untrusting mind is genuine, unconditional warmth. That is the uncharted territory. That is the anomaly that threatens the entire structural integrity of your emotional fortress. And so you sit inside the walls. They keep the unpredictable pain out, but they also amplify the echoes of your own isolation. The air grows stale. The view from the window never changes. You are safe. You are so perfectly, undeniably safe.